here today to push forward our agenda to make the city of Detroit and the metropolitan area and Wayne County and all of the state of Michigan, if possible, a drug free community. And today I have with us the pleasure of having Ms. Artina Hardman, the executive director of Mac Alive. And
Thank you.
also, we have with us Ms. Pamela Morgan, who is the executive director and founder of Key Insights LLC, which is an organization that works with substance abuse professionals providing training. And her focus is on toxic relationships. And she is also a minister and a person who has a professional and a personal relationship with the recovery community because she's a person that's in recovery. In fact, in about 60 days, she has a very big anniversary coming up, her 27th year
Woohoo!
of being in recovery. She's married and has four wonderful adult children. And I just feel that an honor and a blessing to be here with these two beautiful, powerful, empowered black women that are helping to transform Detroit into the type of community that we all want it to be, a place where we can feel proud of raising our families, we can feel safe. We know that our children are going to get a good education, and we're going to live a life of peace, happiness, and prosperity. So, Artina, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I guess it's Happy New Year to the audience, but um, you know, sometimes people say, God always has a ram in the bush. Well, no, today God has an angel in our midst, and that is Reverend Pamela Morgan. I'm so excited that she's with us today. I've known Pam for many, many years, and she has always been on the forefront for doing what's right. Um, she still does. I don't know how she puts so much into 24 hours in a day, but she makes it happen.
Right.
And I just want her to briefly tell us her struggles that you've had over down through the years, Pam.
When I came into my recovery life, 1991,
Oh,
um, with four small children, two preteen boys, and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, I had no idea what was in store for me. You know, I began to learn how to live a life clean from the use of drugs or anything to replace them. And that was the first challenge. The first challenge was to deal with the pains of life without replacing the drugs with anything else.
wow.
Because upon no longer using the drugs, life continued. And so I
Mm.
had these preteens who were caught up in trouble, selling drugs. One of them, my second oldest, by the time he was 15, was arrested for first degree murder, a
Mm.
murder that he didn't commit. However, he was caught up in a gang. And my oldest boy got locked up for some things, and it was just painful. But
I
I
can
couldn't
imagine.
use the drugs. And so I learned early on, my first instinct, instinctively, I wanted to replace the drugs with something.
Wow.
And I began to replace the drugs with relationships
Mm.
and trying to fill a void, because ultimately what I've learned over the years, and so I ministered this in both the recovery community as well as the Christian community, is that we were born with a place that's designed to be filled by God.
Sure.
And when we are not taught that, and we don't know that, and we don't understand that, we begin, especially around puberty, to
Fill the
try to
void.
fill the void
Yeah.
with something. And for me, it was relationships. And I had to look at the fact that my first addiction was not cocaine, my first addiction was relationships.
Wow.
Trying to fill the void, age 13, in a relationship with a 22-year-old man,
Wow.
Mm.
trying to fill the void. And one of the things I didn't share, I forgot to tell you, is that one of the things I do now is I teach substance abuse education for the children who are incarcerated
Okay.
in Wayne County. And that's one of the things we talk about, is that emptiness and that void. And this generation of children are the first children who could have possibly had crack addicted grandparents. That
Wow.
says a lot, because this is also the biggest generation of foster care children that we've ever lived to see. And
Mm-hmm.
and and if you think about it, many, many generations ago, if mom and dad dropped the ball, grandma picked it up.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, my oldest granddaughter is 26. She was born right after I got clean. And so she didn't see me in my addiction. But many of my peers were in their addiction, and many people are grandparents in their addiction. So when mom and dad drops the ball for these kids, grandma not there to pick it up because grandma's in her own addiction. And crack addiction will not allow you to function as sometimes alcohol has allowed people to be alcoholic but still pick up the ball
Functional
and care
addicts,
for the
right.
children. Or even, even some of the other drugs, crack won't allow it. And neither will some of the newer or some of the drugs that have been introduced, methamphetamine, different, that there's no functioning in that. You get caught up, you in, you gone. And so these kids, not only, they're the generation that have never known what God has done. They're the generation that haven't seen the grandmother who testifies about how good God has been to her because grandma's strung out. And so they are that generation who knew not the Lord, neither the things that he has done. And so they don't know what they're working with. They don't know what possibilities. And so to teach them about substance abuse is to give them an education that they can make some informed decisions. See, I didn't know about drugs the way I needed to know because I came from a family who used what they used, but they were functional. So I didn't understand what I was up against. I
And nobody
want to,
starts off saying, I want to be a drug addict.
absolutely not. You just want to be relieved
Right.
of the discomforts of life, or you just want to party.
One of the
You
two.
just want to
Yeah.
hang out and you just want to party. And ultimately, one becomes too many and 1,000 is never enough, and they get caught up. And now we have a generation who uses marijuana that's trying to be legalized, and they feel like, well, if they're going to legalize it, it's all right for me. But we have to remind them alcohol is legal, but it ain't all right. It's taking lives left and right.
Yeah.
And so will the marijuana in different ways, but nevertheless, it's causing. I told them, these children, when you become a grown person at 30, 40 years old, you're going to be still sitting and looking and playing a video game because that's what weed is designed to keep you doing.
But I think in that same vein, they're getting mixed messages.
Sure.
Certainly.
The kids and us as adults too. Here we are, a generation. The partnership has said for years we are zero tolerance for any drugs, and now they want us to come and to accept the fact that they want to legalize and make it recreational. And our kids hear this, and so they get caught with a joint. Their parents are upset. Well, mom, everybody's doing it.
Yes.
And what do we do? What do we tell our kids?
Here's the thing. It's legal if it becomes legal nationwide. It's not legal for minors. Neither is alcohol. And so the brain is not done developing. And when the brain is still in need of development and we interrupt that process with drugs and alcohol, then we stunt the growth. And so whether it's legal or not, see, that's not my argument with these kids because I'm not going to fight that battle. My argument with them is it's not
okay
legal for you.
Yes.
And even when it becomes legal, let's talk about the damage. I give them a chart that shows the damages that marijuana does to the physical body so that they can be educated. The damage that alcohol does to the physical body. These are things that they don't know.
Right. And I think that I hear you say that one of the key weapons or tools that we can use in our battle against this thing is education, is making people aware of exactly what you're getting involved in. As you said earlier, nobody starts off saying, I want to be addicted to drugs. I want to be addicted to alcohol. I want to be
Absolutely.
addicted to opioids. Like you said, I just want to party. I just want to fit in with the
Yeah.
crowd. I want to relieve myself of some anxiety or some pain. But I don't have any desire to become strung out and dysfunctional. And the reason that happens is because I was not fully and totally aware. So we're going to have to use education as one of our key factors and one of the key tools that we use in our fight against substance abuse. Now, I know that part of your message also is working with these substance abuse professionals. What type of one-on-one or what type of training do you provide? Do you do workshops or
I do,
exactly?
yes, I do 6 hour trainings, and they provide certification hours for substance abuse professionals who are either seeking to get certified through the Michigan Certification Board of Addiction Professionals, or who have a certification and need to get hours to maintain it. And so when I say addiction professionals, we provide hours for social workers, for those who have counseling credentials, those who are seeking to or have obtained the peer recovery mentor certification, which is one of our newest certifications in Michigan, and I also do training in other states. I do some training in Atlanta, as well as Ohio, Chicago, and Iowa.
Oh,
Iowa,
okay.
actually, I have a son who lives in Iowa, and so I set up trainings in Iowa, and we go and visit once a year. And one of the things that what started me to train is as a substance abuse professional myself, which I never aspired to be. Just show you how our lives are guided by powers outside of ourselves, right? And God was just so instrumental in my life. I was a minister. I just started out being a minister. I hadn't been clean long, and a door opened up where I had been volunteering
Okay.
to my passion is women, helping women overcome, especially toxic relationship issues, because once they put the drugs down, many of them, like myself, will pick up a relationship, and if that one doesn't work, pick up another one and another one, trying to fill that void we talked about. And I was dealing with that with my clients as a counselor, and realized that if I could share this information with other counselors, more people could be helped. And that's why I wrote my first training. And since then, I think I have about 16, 17 trainings that we rotate throughout the year. They're provided at least once a month. Some months we do two, because we do an ethics training.
Okay.
We provide them at the Greater Grace Temple.
Right. Yeah.
And it's just a very awesome environment that they provide. So we rent from them. And
If I could just ask a question, I'd like the audience to understand exactly what is a toxic relationship. Sometimes, especially these young girls, I think about them, they're in these relationships, and I'm out sometimes and I see how the guys are treating them. I'm saying to myself,
don't
man,
they see
if
it?
I was that girl's
Yeah.
mother,
A toxic relationship is a relationship that ultimately makes you sick, emotionally, physically, mentally. And when we think of toxins, we're thinking about if you drank toxic waste, if you drank toxic water, you would become physically ill. But when you engage in a relationship that's dysfunctional and unhealthy, ultimately both people get sick and sicker. Going into it, though, we must realize that going into it, both people have to be dealing with some degree of dysfunction and need of healing in their spirit and in their soul to get in it and stay in it. Because a healthy person will see the signs and say, "Oh no, this is not for me."
Right.
And that's one of the focus that what we focus on in the toxic relationship workshops, whether it's for women who are in need of that healing, or the professionals who are working with men and women who are in need. One of the things we focus on is identifying a toxic relationship, recognizing one's own part, the part that, see, because they can recognize all the illness in the other person and get out of it and be attracted to another toxic relationship because of the toxicity in them.
Oh.
Yeah. And so the people pleasing, the need to fit in, the need to be accepted, the desire to be loved. I remember having the question posed to me, is it love, or are you just thirsty? And that question was posed to me in my spirit. Pam, is it love, or are you just thirsty? See, because thirsty thirsty people, if they're not given the water that they need, they go into dehydration. And when a person is dehydrated, they begin to hallucinate and see mirages. And they see mirages of what they need. Well, if a person is spiritually and emotionally thirsty for love, they begin to see in you the ability to love them, whether you have the ability to love them or not. So that answers your question. When you say, how can you stay?
Right. Okay. Go
It's because they don't see what you see. They see according to their need. A person on the desert sees water and rescuers because that's what they need.
Okay. And I think that one could relate that also to the youth from the peer pressure standpoint of my need for acceptance, my need to fit in with the group, and I'm thirsty and hungry for that. And so therefore,
Yes.
I will cater to the desires of the group. I will fall into behaviors and activities that I wouldn't normally want to participate
Sure.
in or that are against my family values because I'm thirsty, I'm needy, I'm hungry for that acceptance within my peer group. This is so apropos for the moment. On starting on the 22nd of this month, it'll be National Drug Facts Week. And it is so good that we're using this opportunity as the Partnership for Drug Free Detroit to educate our community, to educate our recovery community as well as the community at large about some of the details that motivate this behavior.
Sure.
And I earlier you were commenting that you go into the facilities that hold some of our youth that are incarcerated and that house them and provide them with treatment and training. What can you be a little bit more specific on what type of training do you give a person who might seem like they are hopeless and in a rejected from society by being incarcerated and at a young age?
When we talk about the children, many of them are rejected from family because they're in the foster care system. And some of them come from, here's what we have a catch-22. Some come from homes where everything is intact, but they go to school with children who are from foster care after foster care after foster care. So you have the peer pressure, you have the influence. And if you think about it, all of us know what it feels like to be more intrigued with doing the wrong thing than doing the right thing. And they don't set out to be. I ask them, when you did the crime that you did, was it in your mind that I'm going to commit this crime and go to the juvenile detention facility? No, Miss Morgan, that's not what I was thinking. Right, you thought you were going to get away with it. So we teach crime and consequences.
Okay.
You've got to play the tape to the end and realize the consequences of what you're doing. And the other thing that I point out to them, and I get a lot of conversation from them, I don't lecture them. I get a lot of interaction. We play games like Hangman, but we use substance abuse information to play the game so that they're learning while they're playing.
Okay.
We play trivia, but we use substance abuse information so they're learning while they're playing. And one of the things I share with them is that when you start using, you go from use to misuse to abuse to addiction or dependence. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. And one of the things that I try to instill in them, that addiction operates like a disease, and it has been identified as a disease by the American Medical Association because, like other diseases, it is progressive, it's incurable, and if left untreated, it can be fatal. And to get them to recognize the cycles of addiction. I'm a contractor. I contract with other agencies, and that inroad into the juvenile detention facility was an inroad for me through a local agency here that's doing some great work with the youth. It's it used to be called the Juvenile Assessment Center. It's now Assured Family Services.
Okay.
And they are doing some phenomenal work with youth. And just to have this opportunity to speak into the lives with some insight, some cognitive behavioral insight, some substance abuse educational insight for them, because me and these kids have something in common. Even though I've been around a little while, my mother and my father were 15 and 16 when I was born. And so these children, many of them are from families where their parents were babies when they were born. And so it affords me the opportunity to capture them because I can relate. But those are some of the things that we talk about.
That's truly fascinating. I have exactly the same experience with the youth that I work with. We provide semi-independent living for youth that are in and transitioning out of foster care. And one of the things that makes me able to relate is the fact that I was abandoned at age 2 and raised in the system. And just as you say, you can kind of get that feeling
Yeah.
of camaraderie and the empathy that it requires to be able to understand the where the person is coming from and their mindset, so that then you can have some impact. But it's so fascinating that in each one of these scenarios that you've laid out, education and awareness
Sure.
is one of the key elements as to the answer. And I think that that is going to be key for us here in the city of Detroit, not only here in Detroit, but across Wayne County and across the state of Michigan as we face this marijuana legislation for
Sure.
recreational use. And I agree so strongly with your point of view, and I've shared that with several of the organizations that I work with, that even, especially in working with the young adults, is that even if marijuana is legalized, just like alcohol, it's going to have some regulations, it's going to have some control, and it's going to have to be a situation where we are in front of the whole thing. So education is a key element. And, I know that as we come close to the end of our time here, you want to share with everyone how they can continue to get more information from Key Insights LLC. So how do they get in touch? What's the phone number over there?
Absolutely.
Our phone number is 313-610-4626. And
Do you have any workshops on the horizon?
I do actually, for professionals, I have a training coming up on solution focused therapy for clients. It's for professionals to focus on dealing with solution focused therapy for clients who are substance abusers and mental health clients.
And how does one register for that training?
They can go to my website, www.keyinsightstraining.com, or they can email me at keyinsights@gmail.com.
So that's www.keyinsightstraining.com.
Yes.
If they want to go to the website, and they can email you at keyinsights@gmail.com. All
Yes.
right. And with all of the work and wonderful things that you're doing over on the east side at Mack and Fisher, can you tell us a little bit just how can we get in touch with Mack Alive? What's
Real
the number over there?
briefly, Mac Alive is 313-824-3900. We do have a new literacy program that's going to be starting on February the 5th. It's for 18 and over. Wayne State comes in 4 days a week, 3 hours a day. It's all free, and we encourage you. Sometimes that's the hardest part, is getting started and admitting that you got a problem. But Wayne State comes in, they're great, and Mac Alive is there, and Mac is alive.
All right, and that number again is
824-3900.
824-3900. And once again, we are the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. We work with youth that are in and transitioning out of foster care system, and you can find us at CUYFDdetroit.org, or you can look us up on Facebook. Just go to Facebook and look up the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development, or go on YouTube and you can look at some of our past episodes from the Partnership for a Drug-Free Detroit, as well as Urban Review, the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. So it's been tremendous having you on with us, Ms. Morgan. It's always good to have my buddy and partner here, Artina, from Mac Alive, and we send you greetings from the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. Happy New Year to everyone. Next week, make sure that you look up something and learn about the facts about drugs. It's National Drug Facts Week, and we will be coming to you again next month at the same time, which is the third Thursday of the month at 3:30 here on WHPR TV 33. Thank you for watching us, and be a partner in the Partnership for a Drug-Free Detroit. Thank you.